Hi, my name is Jaleesa Poindexter, and I'll be interviewing my sister-in-law about her experience about paying back her student loan debt. First question is, what is your name? How old are you? Where do you live? And what school or schools did you attend where you took out student loans?
Hi there, my name is Stephanie. I am 26 years old and I attended East LA College for a few years, and I then transferred to Cal State LA, which are both in the city of Los Angeles, but Cal State LA was the only place that I accumulated any debt.
Okay. And are you allotted time before you have to start paying back your student loans?
So one thing I actually was not aware of was that you are given some time after you either graduate or stop going to school before you have to start paying back your loans. So in my case particularly, I had to begin paying my loans once I was graduated, well, some time after I graduated. I graduated back in May. It is now December, and I am getting ready to make my very first payment.
Now, which company or companies have you chosen to accept your student loans through?
I actually did not accept my loans from any particular loan service provider. What I really did was just whoever was willing to lend me money, I took, because the way that my school worked was that before you were able to take the course, you had to pay entirely for your either full-time or part-time amount of classes. And then, so for me, it was more so of just taking whatever I could and then I would figure it out afterwards. So I came to then find out that Cornerstone was the loan service provider that lent me all of my 5 loans.
Now, since you just graduated with your certain situation, when you do start making payments, when and how often do you think that you'll be making those
Well,
payments?
funny enough, like I mentioned earlier, I am just now going to get ready to start making my payments. I will start this month because it is now the 6th month since I've been out of school. So I haven't started paying just yet, but it's going to be every month, I believe.
Now, I know that you're going to start making payments on your student loan debt this month, but do you think you're going to try and pay them back as soon as possible, or do you think that you're going to try and have it out and stretch it out a long
I
time?
think that I'm necessarily trying to get through my debt as quick as I can. It's more so important for me to make sure I can make the payments on time and do that consistently. I guess I want to say that my goal is to pay it off in 4 to 5 years. Although in order to do that, I would be having to make either $600 to $700 payments a month. That would take a lot of money managing and just being able to do that with the kinds of funds that I'm bringing in. So again, I want to shoot for the 4 to 5 years, but for most service providers, they kind of give you like a 10-year mark to pay back your loans.
All right. Now, in the future, do you plan on having any of your student loan debt forgiven at any point?
So I haven't even like applied for like debt forgiveness because I came to find out once I started digging in a little bit more and doing some research that debt forgiveness is something that you are allowed to do, but more so after making 120 payments towards your debt. Granted, I guess because of that reason, I just kind of saw it as like, okay, that's not something I can do now. So how about I keep continuing to make these payments? Once that time comes around, then I guess I'll just educate myself then and see if I can either qualify or what the application process looks like or what I can do then.
Again, I know that you haven't started paying your student loan debts back, but in the future, do you think that this is going to interfere with you saving for other things, such as like your personal savings or vacation or anything like that?
Well, that's one thing that I have given thought to. I think no matter what, it's definitely something that's going to be impactful in my life. It's going to take a lot of sacrificing in order to make sure that I can do all of these payments and get them all done on time. Um, Unfortunately, it's just going to be a big sacrifice, and I think I'm okay with that as long as I'm able to do it on time because that's my biggest goal.
Now, do you think you could give me like an estimated time of when you think you'll be done with paying back your student loans or when you hope that you'll be paying back your student
In
loans?
regards to getting them paid off, like I mentioned earlier, it's definitely going to be something that I'm going to shoot for getting done in a shorter period of time, but I'm not really stressing on making sure that it's paid off quickly. I think that being consistent is a lot more beneficial, and I think it will look better credit score wise and just financially for me as well. it will be much easier to do than getting it paid off quickly. I realize it's not going to go anywhere, so I'm in no real rush to kind of power through all of that amount, because it is a lot of money and it is the biggest amount of debt that I have.
Now that you've received your actual bachelor's degree, do you plan on going back to school and furthering your education and then maybe taking out any future student loan debt?
So now that I am graduated, pursuing graduate level schooling and a degree at that level is definitely something I want to do. It is a little bit frightening to think that at that level, you know, the prices do get higher, and I think the amount of support that you get financially is a lot slimmer. But I am a psychology major, which does require a good amount of schooling for the job that I want to do. It's not something that can be easily obtainable, and I understand that. But with that comes along the debt, so that's just going to be something that I have to just work around and try to make the best that I can for the moment.
Okay, have you been able to find a job pertaining or a career pertaining to your particular field of studies?
Interestingly enough, that is something that was a little bit unique for me when it came to finding a job after graduating. It was something I fell into. So the last semester that I was at Cal State LA, the head of the forensic psychology department offered an internship at a law firm. Now, the attorneys at this law firm represented parents in the children's court, and so there was a lot of stuff going on. I interned there for a few months. Granted, the attorneys there weren't able to keep me as busy. They were very, very busy with caseloads, so it wasn't an internship I truly enjoyed, but I powered through it. Funny enough, once I was getting close to finishing, the director offered me a temporary position for 6 months, because their social work investigator was going on leave. She was having a child at the time and she was going to be out for 6 months. So I decided to take it. It was something that was very new, and so I thought it would be a good opportunity. I took it, and so 6 months moving forward, which is where I'm at now, I decided to secure the job. I asked to stay and I was granted that opportunity. It is a pretty good paying job. It is paid $21 and some change. I want to say something like 9 cents, which is pretty decent to me. And I came to realize the reason why I get paid the $21 and some change is because of my degree. One of my coworkers who does very similar work to me isn't paid the same. He is paid like $15, $16. So that's a really, really big difference. For me, that was something huge and clear that getting this education was worth it, and I guess I can say that I reaped the benefits a little bit quicker than someone else, so I am very grateful for that, and I totally believe in just at least getting your bachelor's.
At any point in time during the future, do you think that you're going to defer your loans?
So in regards to deferring, I don't know that I'm fully interested in doing that, only because I went for the route of consolidating my debt. And I feel as if because of that reason, they have offered me some repayment options that seem a little bit more logical just for my own finances and just the kind of money that I'm bringing in.
Okay, and did you apply for any FAFSA or the Pell Grant or any scholarships that were available that applied to you?
When it came to scholarships, I was a little naive because I assumed that there's a lot of people applying for these. Why should I apply? I'm not going to get it, which was probably the dumbest thing I think I have done in my college career, because there's so many and there's so many different kinds. And I feel like I could have benefited from that financially. It could have made things a lot easier for me at the time. I think I was discouraged because I had applied for FAFSA so many times and never qualified because I made too much money at the time. So that was something that was hard for me, and it served as a learning experience.
When you were in school, were you employed? And if so, how many jobs did you have, if you had more than one, and how much were you making?
I actually was employed when I was completing my undergrad. I was a server at a restaurant, and I actually have been there for a few years and still there now, which also made it pretty hard for me to complete my undergrad, only because time management was a really big thing for me. A lot of the times I would have to stay to take care of a table and serve them, even when I knew I had an exam the next day or I had an early morning the next day. So for me, that was something that was very hard. But at the same time, it was something I had to do. I had rent to pay, and I also had to pay for books, because books was something that I decided to pay out of pocket so I wouldn't add some more debt. So that was like a good $500-$600 that I would spend on books because I was a full-time student.
Do you think later on in life that when you are paying off your student loan debts that it will later discourage you to go back to school and further your education?
I don't think I am discouraged at all. Funny enough, even though it's very stressful to think about having debt, it is kind of something just kind of hangs over your shoulders, and you know it exists and you know it's not going anywhere. I think that's the hard part about it. It's more so controlling your internal emotions in regards to that. Thinking realistically though, personally, because I am a psychology major, it's just not something I could keep moving forward with unless I keep going to school. A bachelor's doesn't give you much. A master's even still limits your opportunities. So I think that's the reason why I'm going for a PsyD, which is probably the most expensive doctorate degree. But I'm okay with doing that because I do want to have endless opportunities when it comes to this major.
Okay, and can you explain to me what your budget looks like, as in what it looks like now and what you'll be taking away from it to put towards your student loan debts?
I'm thinking of spreading out my budget in a way that can be easier for me, because I do have a few jobs now, still the serving and also the law firm. I'm thinking of whatever income that I get from the restaurant, maybe putting that to the side. Same thing with tips. That way I'm not taking a big chunk out of either paychecks or so. If I can put some off to the side little by little, that can make it a little bit easier on me because I just forget about it. If I can pretend like I never made that amount, it can make it easier for me to just have that payment ready to go on the side.
We all know that life happens and things happen. Now, do you think that later on in life, a life situation will come up and maybe it'll cause you to either miss or be late on any of your payments?
I think that the way that I was able to maybe anticipate that or prepare for that was by choosing the repayment plan that I did. The repayment plan that I chose was one that is structured around your income. I decided to do that because although I make a decent amount now and I probably will have higher payments towards my debt, I'm also trying to look out for any hardships that I'll face in the future. If, God forbid, I lose a job, I go through changes, I have to move, so forth, I want to also still be able to be consistent. I want to have the opportunity to still continue to have this good track record with paying off my debt. So that's the cool thing about this repayment program, is that it goes based off of how much you're making at the time. To me, that's the most logical thing. I think a lot of people wouldn't go for that because they don't want to be making a good amount of payments when they're making a good amount of money. But I cannot keep having to make endless payments. So that's my way of controlling this, or better yet, anticipating any hardships in the future.
Lastly, do you think that the education that you have received and the opportunities that have come your way have made your student loan debt worthwhile?
I think I will always say that regardless of the amount that I have to pay back, yes, it's worth it, because not only has it enriched me as a person, I know a lot more. I feel like it's made me more diverse in the way that I'm flexible. I can take, a job like a law firm that I probably wouldn't have taken, and feel confident enough that even though I did not have that background, I completed a psychology degree and I applied whatever knowledge I did know. So not only did I benefit in that way of just knowing more and being more, curious about academics, I also have a higher paying job than maybe another 26-year-old. So again, my situation is very unique in that way. but I think that's what's giving me that very optimistic view about getting my degree and only pushing me forward to keep going, because who knows how many other unique experiences I can come across.